Welcome back to the channel. This game features Nigel Short against the Canadian Grandmaster Igor Ivanov, who defected from the former Soviet Union in the early 80s. Both players have had a bad start to the tournament and were both looking for a win. The game started with the Sicilian defence and once again Nigel opted for the Richter-Rauzer variation. Here Nigel decided to push the A pawn, where perhaps bishop f4 would have been a better option, inducing e5, which would have left a great big hole on d5. Kicking the queen, and the queen retreats to help defend the d pawn. Black pushes the pawn in the centre to try to contest the centre. The rook goes to f2, probably going to d2, but also defending the c2 pawn, allowing the queen to move. Here Nigel decides to take the pawn, which I feel is a slight mistake, as it leaves the e-pawn isolated, and after the recapture by the d-pawn allows the black bishop on f8 to become more active. Again, another quite strange move. I assume eventually the knight's going to go to d3, but it looks a bit awkwardly placed there. This was surprising. Maybe knight to d3 at this point would have been better. And something along these lines would have been a better option for white, but again, his position is not great at the moment. He chose to take the rook. Black recaptured. This is a good move, as bishop to b6 doesn't work, as queen to c6, stepping out of the way of the attack, and white cannot take the rook on d8 because of a bishop c5. So Nigel moved his king out of the way, and now he's potentially threatening bishop b5, bishop b6. Here, clever move by black, offering the exchange, but obviously cannot be taken, as the e-pawn would take back with a discovered check and pick up the knight on c3 as well. Now he finally gets the knight out to a square that defends the a pawn as well. Centralising the rook with a threat of rook to d8, trapping the queen, which black duly blocks. Here black puts some pressure on the a pawn, which Nigel duly overprotects. But after this move and the exchange of pieces on c5, the a pawn is doomed. Attacking the knight, which black duly defends the best way. Obviously, you can't go to c6 due to queen takes c5. With the threat of rook to d2. Here again, the knight goes back to the first rank to try and stop rook to d2. But I think rook to d1 would have been a better option, trying to contest the file and exchange some more pieces. This is a very good move by black, threatening queen c1 check. Looks like white's fought the knight and the rook, but black can play an in-between move, bishop c4, attacking the queen first, which has to move and allows the knight to attack it again on d3. The queen retreats further, and as we can see, white's position is now very dire. And the next move is an extremely good move. Queen to g3 with a threat of knight to f2 check. White's option is probably best to take the rook at this point, and giving up the queen, but it's a very bad position. He chooses to play queen to h2, where the check comes in. And here's an a very, very good move. And the point of the move is to deflect the bishop away from f3 so the queen can go to the e3 square. And this was the last move of the game. White cannot really do anything to stop the discovered check. It's mate, false mate. One example would be to play g3, knight to f4 check. And this is all forced. And a very pretty mate. So Nigel's bad start to the Hastings tournament continues. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the game. Until next time, thank you. Bye.